Hi, ladies. Welcome to another episode of the Femalepreneur Coach podcast. I'm your host, Rebecca Barr, and I'm so excited to be joined today by one of my success sisters, Sally, who is essentially an e-commerce and mindset coach for busy corporate mums who want to escape the 9 to 5, but also one of my business besties.
Yeah. Hey, babe. How you
And
doing?
I'm so excited for this conversation because it's Monday and that's my favorite day of the week. But also, already we were just chatting offline, and there is so much going to be like I know there's going to be so much
Good
gold in this
stuff.
episode because one thing we are both truly aligned on is like just keeping it real, sharing all the things, like no BS approach to business.
Yes.
So thank you so much for being here and gifting me this beautiful time.
Hey, thank you for having me. It's awesome to be here with you. It's just beautiful.
Yay! So we can make sure that you get like a proper introduction. Obviously, I mentioned that you have an e-commerce business and that you support other women to essentially launch and scale their own as well from
Yes.
the inside out, because you also cover the mindset elements. But is there anything else that you want to kind of like introduce in terms of like your backstory? How did you get here and all of the things?
So I guess my story started probably as like a lot of other women do. You're stuck in a corporate job. I've been doing it for absolutely years. The company I work for were amazing, like incredible. But I found myself with I think a 6-month-old baby covered in sick. I remember the day like it was yesterday. I was sitting there. She was covered in sick and puree. I was covered in sick and puree,
Ugh,
taking my clothes off, sitting on the sofa, bursting into tears because I knew I was going back to work soon. And I was like, when you feel like a dark cloud is hanging over you, you know you've got to do this. But equally at the same time, I kind of got to a point where thinking, like, the job I had was brilliant, but I don't want to do this anymore. I
yeah.
don't want to be in a position where I have to ask for holiday. Like, who the hell invented that you only get 25 days holiday? And who the hell invented the fact that you have to work set hours? Like,
Oh my God. My son, Luciano, is 5. He is like appalled at the education system.
yeah,
He's like, I'm going back to school again. Like, I was just there the other day and I was like, sorry, darling, like 5 days till the weekend. He was like, why?
yeah, right.
He was like, mummy, and you only get like 2 days off. What is that about? I was like, I know, son, you
I
better learn
don't
to
know.
be an entrepreneur.
Who, right? Who made? I got to the point where I was like, who made these rules up? And it's not that I want to break them at all, but it's more that I want to be able to work on my terms. I'm a
Yeah,
hardworking girl. When I put my mind to something, we are doing it. But
yeah,
I want to do it on my terms now. So I remember I made one powerful phone call. I made one powerful phone call to my best friend, who she is a businesswoman. She is a mum. She's got her head screwed on. And I was in tears and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, what am I
yeah,
doing? And she was like, you need to get your mindset straight because that is where it starts. And
yeah,
she essentially sent me off on a journey. She told me one person to follow on Facebook and Instagram. And I did that. And that is where it started. And I really started to delve into the depths of universal energy, universal laws, manifestation, how actually, in reality, kind of the way I look at it is we are in a movie. It's your
yeah,
movie. You are the director, you are the star role, you are the writer, you are everything. And if that movie is not playing out how you want it to, well, it's on you to be able to change it. You can do that, but you have to get the mindset piece right first of all, because I think there's so many times where it's like, oh, I'm gonna, I don't know, travel the world or do all these things. It's like, but the mind has to be in the right place. So I spent about 2 years. I did go back. I spent about 2 years really investing back into myself and understanding who I was, what I wanted. And eventually it kind of just took me on a journey where this same particular coach back in I think it was like the beginning of 2020, she launched a program which was basically profit for products.
mm.
So I thought, come on then, let's have a go. Why not? What's the worst that's gonna happen? I
Yeah,
fall on my ass, but I learned something from it. And actually what I did, I ended up creating a pet brand that did exceptionally well. I now ship into Amazon. They ship out like in all across Europe. I have shipped to the States, Canada. And then I managed to get into like regional distribution places. So I was like selling through pet stores. I even approached like the big giants. I approached Tesco's and I approached Sainsbury's and I approached those guys to be like, look at this product. This is what I've done. And that's how the journey really started, to be honest with you. I think it was started from a sensation of feeling stuck.
Yeah. And it's amazing that we need that sometimes. That's the thing. I don't know if you like, I think Oprah says about the universe will send you like subtle whispers and nudges when
Hmm.
you're not in alignment with what you're meant to be doing, when you're not on track with
Absolutely.
ultimately like your soul's path. And if you continue to like ignore those, at some point it is literally going to like knock down
And
the whole wall.
yeah, and I think that's exactly what happened with me. It's almost like, because I'd always had nudges of like, I want to do something else. I remember having conversations with my dad years ago where he'd be like, oh, you should set up your own business. You could do something on your own. I always thought, yeah, you know what? I would really like that. But it wasn't, I think the push wasn't there. It
Yeah,
wasn't
and
big
it
enough.
probably felt like such a risk as well, because if you've
Absolutely.
got what we all thought before COVID was like a nice, safe job, um, to then go into something that's completely unknown, that's entirely like off the back of your efforts, it's really bloody hard as a woman to be. And I don't think many, if any, like hardly any that I've ever spoken to, women that are really successful in business are like just those entrepreneurial types that always knew, you know,
Yeah.
like these Richard Branson types. It's typically come from a place of necessity, but
Yeah.
ultimately it's shown them what they're made of, and then they
Oh,
become unstoppable.
absolutely. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's like, even when you have those moments of falling over and falling flat on your face or flat on your ass, if you can take a learning from that, that actually, because I've had many moments through the business where I've been like, oh, and actually, if you flip it on its head completely, this is just an opportunity for me to learn. This is an
Yeah,
opportunity for me to grow in this particular area. Okay, X didn't work. Okay, let's try Y. Okay, that worked. It's
yeah.
that. It's how you frame it really in your own mind. So yeah, it was. I definitely needed the universe to give me a giant kick in the ass.
Yeah, I had the same thing. I like you, I'd kind of dabbled with the idea of maybe having
Yeah,
a business, because I think as women, like, you know, we all
yeah,
inherently know that like we're meant for more, but
yeah.
because society and our mindset holds us
Right.
back and tells us to be sensible, stop being such a crazy woman, like just
Yeah,
be sensible, stick with what's safe. I just, you know, God, imagine how many women are out there with that untapped potential. And I had the same thing. It wasn't until the universe literally like blew up my whole world that it was like, well, bitch, you said you wanted a business, and you've kind of like,
here you
I
go.
pissed about with so many little eBay businesses on my maternity leaves, thinking like,
Yeah,
I'm not going back, I'm not going back, but never really having the guts to go all in. So I did like little network marketing business, eBay
yeah,
business, all of the
yeah,
things. And then it wasn't until the universe was like, well, essentially my mum had a stroke. So she was my
yeah.
main childcare. And I had like 3 kids, single parent. And it was like, well, you just got to go now. So I
Got
literally,
it.
yeah, I had to sell my house and go
Oh,
all in.
yeah,
But and I bought business and relocated and all the things, but it was like until I literally had no plan B or back out,
yeah.
was I then actually really like who I was always meant to be. I'm so grateful for that journey now. Like,
It's so
yeah.
interesting. I went to see Gary Vee speak last
I
week.
know, I'm so excited. I love him.
You know what? I am that girl. I am that girl. I sat at the front. I got there early. I was like, I'm going to sit at the goddamn front,
I
right
see
in the
you.
middle. Right in the middle. So I got there, I did it. And the second he finished speaking, he'd kind of said, look, if there's anybody that's got any questions or you want to come and meet me, like, feel free. I was like a dog out the traps. I
Yeah.
literally ran straight to him. And I said to him, like, if you could give any sort of business advice, what would it be, like, to someone of my age or someone younger? And he said, you know what it is? He said, we live in this box, in this conventional world where it's almost like you're told that you've got to get the education,
Mhm.
you should probably go to university, and then, 20s or whatever, you need to get a good job. And he was like, it's so backwards. He was
Yeah.
like, 20s are for taking risks,
Yeah.
going all in on yourself and being like, do I like this? Do I like this? Do I don't like? He was like, take those risks in that moment. He was like, you know what? I still meet people in their 60s, 70s that are setting up businesses and they're taking risks to be like, to actually work out who I am and what I want. And I was like, I feel like that was a great piece of advice. Like,
Yeah.
take the risk, take the jump, because ultimately, it's like I said to my mother a little while ago, I don't ever want to get to my deathbed and lie there and be like, I regret.
Yeah.
Never
100%.
going to happen.
And here's the thing, like we're not living in a time anymore, which we kind of like forget about, but we're living in a time where there is no end of abundance available to us.
Absolutely.
Like
Right.
you can literally go all in on a business and still have a job and still have another side hustle
Yeah.
and still be a mum and still be a good
Yeah.
partner. Like thanks to like the iPhone and all the opportunity,
Right.
the internet and all the things, like there is no end of like opportunities, network
No,
marketing businesses and things like that. You don't have to go around and sell bloody Ann Summers and turn up at people's house with Avon or Tupperware anymore, ladies. Like, you don't have to choose. You
no.
can have it all if you are prepared to do the work and give yourself full permission to go all in.
Absolutely right. And I think it's that, isn't it? It's like it's the fear, isn't it, of like, can I do this? Absolutely, yes, you can. And you can make some amazing learnings through it as well. And you will grow as a human. Like
Yeah,
growth.
one way or another.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And I truly believe that like obviously growth is one of our basic human needs. And if
yeah,
you're not growing in some way, your soul will feel so constricted. And then that's what then brings in the pain element and the feeling of stuck and frustration and anger and why are they doing it? How are they getting it? It's like we need the growth.
yeah. It's like Tony Robbins says, doesn't he? If you're not
Yeah.
growing, you're dying. And I
Yeah.
truly believe that.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely. I believe that with every ounce of my heart. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and your body will typically know before your mindset will, because
Yes.
your brain will be trying to like logical and rationalize, like mansplain everything.
Yeah.
And it'll be like, oh no, it's fine, like da, 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 when actually like your body and your soul knows.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just circling back on Gary Vee, because
Oh,
again, that's a great testament to your, like you say, your development and your
absolutely.
investment in yourself.
Mm.
Was that an event that he was hosting?
No, it wasn't. It was at a business event that I managed to randomly get a free ticket for, and it had some really good other business people there. Stephen Bartlett was there as well.
Sally, I thought we were friends. Why was I not invited?
He was there. There was another guy who used to be. He was an ex-professional, like really high professional rugby player, and he
Yeah,
got a knee injury. And obviously, I guess if you're in that space, to him, his career was completely over. You know, he
yeah,
couldn't play
that's
rugby.
probably his whole identity as well.
Absolutely right. And he had to and he'd built a business off of the back of it. And he was in like the nutrition and the sports space, and he was absolutely flying. He was doing amazingly well. There was a lady as well. She was again, I think she was a long jump, but she
Mm,
was ready to go to 2012 Olympics. And
yeah,
again, she got an injury and they cut her from the squad. She was literally ready to go. And she said she got to a point where she was like, I like that was my whole life. So
yeah.
she said she started to do little things, and she ended up going to work bless you,
Sorry.
going to work for Puma for a little bit. She said I did an intern with them. I wasn't being paid. I just went and did it, and eventually she ended up working with Peloton, and doing some amazing things with Peloton, and really creating a brand out of that itself. So it's like it kind of shows you that actually, yes, sometimes when you hit the wall,
Yeah.
that's the point. The university is like, right,
That's the
we're gonna
thing.
we're
It's
gonna
like the
shake this shit up.
hero's journey, isn't it? And I think a lot of women, like if you're feeling that stuck state right now,
Mm.
because essentially 2023 was a bit of a shit show, wasn't it?
Oh, it was
Emotionally,
awful.
spiritually, a lot of people had
It
a
was
roller
horrible.
coaster. Yeah. And it's like, if you are still in that stuck energy, then this is your opportunity to really see it
Absolutely.
as your hero's journey
Yeah.
and create your own plot twist where it's like, it was at this moment that
Yeah.
everything changed on its head, because you have that power to choose again every time. Otherwise,
Absolutely.
2024 will be more of the same, by the way. I got that on good authority from my
Absolutely.
spiritual
And, and
sisters.
and and again, that's what you're attracting, right?
Yeah,
It's the
yeah,
moment you stop and you go, I don't like this. I don't like the way this movie is playing out. It's like, right, now let's have a little look at what we're attracting, where our mindset is, where our
mm,
energy is going. It's like,
yeah,
you know, when people say, oh, it never rains, but it pours. I'm like, yeah, I'm
yeah,
not surprised it's fucking pouring, because you're thinking the same thoughts.
yeah,
You're attracting the
100%.
same energy back in again. We need
Yeah.
to reframe this. We need to work on this.
Yeah, and that's the good thing, because you have that when you can take responsibility for your side
Yeah.
of the street and what you're bringing to the table, like you say, in terms of energy and attracting that and allowing that and receiving
Yes.
that,
Yeah.
then you can take your part of responsibility and turn it around, like you got the power to change it all.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of those things as well. It's like when people are like, yeah, but where do I start? Like, where do I start?
Yeah,
I'm like, I think first of all, you need to get really, really clear on your vision,
yeah,
what it is you want. Or even if you don't know what you want, get really clear on what you don't want,
yeah, that's
you
it.
know? Yeah.
Yes, because
When you can,
sometimes it's a bit open-ended, isn't it? And it's like, well, I don't
absolutely.
know what I want
I don't
because
know
my,
what I want. No
yeah,
problem. Let's start with what you don't want. What do you
yeah,
not want your life to look like? Or what do you not want the next 12 weeks to look like, or the next year? What don't you
yeah,
want for this
yeah,
year? Once you do that piece, it's then you need to put an identity behind it. Okay, so I want this. Why do I want it?
mm,
Like, why is it so important? Is it money? Is it freedom? Is it a feeling? Is it whatever it be, like why, understanding why that thing is so important. And then the next point is then you start taking action. And then that's when you kind of start to see the magic come in.
Yeah. And what I love about what you've said as well is that you've really, like, I've always had the same belief as you. Like with business, the best thing you can do is be like completely neutral about the business. Take your ego out of the equation and the expectations, and looking outside of yourself, where it's like, oh well, that person's making 10k straight out the gate, that person's doing this, that person's that, and then reflecting everything back to yourself. It's like, actually, in my experience of working with men, because I've always been in like male dominated industries, like even my businesses were male, so I had like barbershop, tattoo studio, like they just approach everything with a very logical, like neutral energy, which means that they can be curious, which means that they're always in like solutions mode, rather than like, oh, this is a me problem. It's like, this is just a problem, and
this
it
is
needs
just
to
a
be
problem.
fixed. Like, and let's fix it and move on. And they don't allow like failures to, like, you know, make them retreat under their duvet for 6 months, thinking that they're just useless and everybody hates them. They're like, even people come back from bankruptcies, don't they? Like Simon.
Oh my gosh.
Like
do you know what? When I was talking to Gary Vee, well, Gary Vee told this story, and I was like, oh my God. He said when Uber first was about to come out, he got approached to buy Uber.
Oh, yes. And he passed on it, didn't he?
Yeah. And he said, I think he said it's something like it was going to cost 50 million or something like that. And he said, I passed on it. He said, and I ended up investing in this other company. And he named the company, and everyone was sat there and was like, huh? And he was like, exactly, right? He said, I ended up losing in the end in profit, probably about 500, something like 550 million in profit. He probably said I lost. And he was like, but okay, obviously it's a big number, it hit, but he said, but I took it as a learning. The energy didn't feel right at the time. It wasn't right for me, but that's okay, because it means that there'll be other things. It doesn't mean it's the end of the world, the end of my life, and I need to go and hide for a couple of years. It's like it happened.
You can still invest in stocks and shares. It's fine.
Absolutely, right? He said his brother AJ was the first person to ever take an Uber.
Oh, really? Oh, really? How interesting. I didn't realize his brother was like involved in the business. So just out of curiosity, like what was the ratio versus like the male speakers versus the women?
I would have said 80-20. 80%
really?
male. Yeah, 80% male, 20% female. But you know what, like, I think it's one of those things, and this is how I take a lot, because I invest a lot of time and energy back into myself. So I went to see Gary Vee. Obviously, I saw you last week. Saturday, I went to another event with like my mindset coach and spiritual coach. And I think it's one of those things, you know what, you can go to these events and they can give you a wealth of knowledge, but you have to take what's right for you.
Yeah. 100%. That's it. Take what you need and leave what you don't.
And leave everything else on the table.
Yeah. And it's learning that discernment. But I think the shame of it for me, so obviously, you know, primarily I'm a money mindset coach. And for me, that comes from a real connection. Like you said, you need to have the why. It's because my whole life, like my mum was really disempowered when it came to money. And that impacted me, like, and my siblings, like massively. But equally then when I came into business, I could see where, oh my God, like all of this untapped potential, all of this incredible like creativity, skills, gifts that are just literally like going down the drain, because none of these women that I was connecting with and networking with and even mentoring were even like really looking beyond the next month, the next paycheck. They all had what I call, which is probably a little bit like insulting, but essentially side hustle and pocket money businesses. Their only motivation was to either have somewhat financial dependence from their, or independence from their partner, or just have a little bit of money to tick them over. Like nobody was really looking at, actually, if we all collectively got together and became wealthy, where we were actually making sustainable legacy-based businesses that are going to impact our generation and the ones to come, because we are, you know, ready to be seen, to be heard, to be paid, to be visible, to be change makers. Like we could actually change the goddamn world. All those things.
Oh my God, 100%, right? It's like, and you must find this a lot as well. Like the amount of women I come into contact with who are like, I want to do this, but I want to do this, but, and I'm like, right.
I always
the potential you have is huge. Like,
come
on, let's do this. How can I help you? How can I shadow you? How can I mentor you? And I do that. I mean, I don't work with friends or anything like that, but it's like there are so many amazing women. It's like, let's start shouting about each other that are doing incredible things in their space. Let's lift them up, because when you have that energy, that's something pretty special.
Oh my God, I truly believe like the power of community and collective energy with women is like going to
It's,
change the world.
yeah,
But
yeah,
because up until this point, so yeah, just touching on what you said about the but,
yeah,
I always try and get my clients change that word to and. So I want to
yes,
make loads of money and
and
like then there's an opportunity for a follow-on scenario, a solution to that
yes.
problem rather than but that feels like a full stop. So but
It feels like the stuck bit, doesn't it? It's like the
yeah,
it's like, but it's
definitely.
not that.
Yeah,
This is that there. That is the opportunity for growth. That is the opportunity
yeah.
for change, and that is the opportunity
100%.
to start living your life on your own goddamn terms. Like,
Yeah, and finding a way, like
right?
regardless of your excuses, your circumstances, your situations, like
Yeah,
all of the things, there is always a bloody way. And this in
absolutely.
today's time, like
Yeah,
there, even if you're an introvert and you don't want to be on Instagram, there's people setting up Instagram pages without even their face
yeah,
that are making six figures.
yeah,
If you aren't like there's just so many different ways now that we are living in a truly amazing time. But I did want to touch a little bit on the community element, and like you say, like the more that we lift each other up, because that's really interesting. Like your experience where you were saying, like, I made one phone call to a friend and she
yep.
really just like put things in place for me so that I could then have that confidence and that assurance to go off and do my thing. I had complete reverse, like me becoming,
Okay.
yeah, and I think my journey starts maybe a little bit ahead of yours. So I've been in
Yeah,
business like 9 years.
yeah,
So this was way before COVID, before Zoom was a thing, before social media was a thing. Like Instagram,
yeah,
I think was only
yeah,
really like a new platform. Definitely not used for monetization. It was just like, here's pictures of my kids, and nobody really
yeah.
understood
Right.
it. It was like very weird. So for me, like literally my only option at that time was to go and buy a brick and mortar business and sell
Yeah,
my house, which then meant that I relocated. But genuinely within my circle and friends that I'd been friends with for 20 years, like there was not one other person that was an entrepreneur or that did
yeah,
even anything remotely. If you did network marketing, it was a bit like, oh God, now we can't talk to her. All
yeah.
of that, like literally,
She'll
oh
try and
please
sell
God,
me
don't
something.
sell me anything. Yeah, I've got one friend, like God love her, she was a hairdresser, and every week it was something else, and it was like
Yeah,
teeth whitening and Summers, Body Shop, like it was always something else. Where it got to the point where like nobody wanted to speak to her because she was
you're
always trying
right.
to sell shit, and it was never anything you wanted. It was like
No,
you're just trying to be polite, and it was like,
right, no, not today, babe.
yeah, like honestly, it was a nightmare. It was like there's only so many like fucking sex toys I could buy. Like I literally
Is that right?
don't even want anything. And it's like, you
I've
know,
got it. We're
yes,
good. We're
we're
covered.
good. Like Jesus. So it was so funny. And then yes, but when I then had my business, like that was the beginning of the end of my
Yeah.
friendships because they didn't recognize, like we said, it becomes like you become unleashed, you become like this
Mm,
powerful woman who
mhm.
suddenly has to have difficult conversations and
Yeah,
personal boundaries and be efficient with your time, and you suddenly realize like intuitively who are the people that are supporting me,
yeah,
liking my posts, sharing my stuff, buying my shit,
yeah,
and who
yeah,
are the people that just like scroll on past, and when you're doing the late nights and everything else suddenly don't want to know you because you're not there at every brunch
yeah,
you. And so I literally have none of my original friendship group. And these are like godmothers to my kids,
yeah.
went on my hen do, like people that I thought I was going to die with,
Diamond, yeah,
my
yeah.
girls for life. So it's so interesting, like how have your friendship groups supported your journey and transformation, like your evolution?
So do you know what? I think let's strip it back slightly because I think one of the biggest things that I've learned is that my energy is my biggest frequency or is my biggest currency, right?
Yeah.
So, and I look at people in different areas and it's like they're either a tap or they're a drain,
Yes. Love that.
unfortunately. That is
Yeah.
how real it is with me. You're either a tap or you're a drain. And I've obviously noticed where people are maybe more drains and where people are
Mm,
more taps. So
yeah.
I know if my energy is my biggest currency, where I'm going to be pouring it. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't wipe people out, but I will limit people. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? If I feel like, do you know what, this isn't going to help my space today. I've got
Yeah.
a lot to do. I've got people to serve. I've got to show up. I will limit how much I contact with them. Do you know? So
Yeah.
that's the first biggest piece I think for me is being really super aware of where my energy is going and
Mm,
how I can help other people with it as well, right? It's like
yeah.
when me and you get in contact with each other, it's like the energy is wicked, do you know, because it's like and
Yeah.
it's so much fun, and that's the space I want to be in.
Yeah.
So I'm really aware of that. And then I think the other thing that when I made that phone call to my friend and she recommended this particular coach to me, this coach had a community.
Yeah.
And it's like when you get into that community and you start really getting nitty-gritty within the people and the environment and the energy space, that's when you then start to change, because then your mindset starts to change. And we
Yeah.
know that it's like your thoughts will create your reality.
Yeah. And it's your belief system, isn't it? Because
Absolutely, right?
like definitely I had that fear, as all women do, witch's
Yeah.
wound, showing up on stories that's unsafe because people might judge me, people might not
Mhm,
like me,
mhm.
and all of the things. And that at our very core is like one of our basic human needs, isn't it, to be liked
It's
by our
acceptance,
community and our
right?
tribe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the more that you can then create, and that's the thing, like if you want more money, but actually what you're thinking you need to do in order to get more money is out of alignment with your belief system of what is
Yeah.
actually safe for
Yeah.
you as a mom, as a woman, and all the things, then you're going to have one foot on the gas, one foot on the brake. But
Absolutely.
if you can actually surround yourself with the people that are like, not only is this safe, but we are clapping with
We
you.
are doing this.
Yes, we
Yes.
have got you, girl. We see you. We salute you. We applaud you. There's no
Yeah.
judgment. There's no like backstabbing here. Like that is when a woman is truly like unleashed, I feel.
Exactly that. And I like, I've got friends who are wicked. Like you've got people that you know in your circle that you can take the craziest idea to and be like, I'm thinking of doing this.
Yeah.
And then there's always the people that are like, hell yes, come
Yeah.
on, you can. I think you're batshit crazy, but yes, let's do it. Like,
Let's
come on,
go.
right? And then there's the other people, isn't it? They're on the other end of the scale that are like,
Yeah.
and it's like
Oh, yeah.
right. I
Yeah.
am super aware.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm
I
super
remember
aware.
having a conversation with my brother. I don't know if you've got anyone like this in my family. He's a bit of a running joke and a big part of my brand story. So it's always
Yeah.
like I bring him up because he's like my biggest hater, like in the
Right.
nicest possible way. Like he
Yeah.
will always be like on my stories, like trolling me. And I'm like, thank you, love you. But we went away a little while ago and he was saying to me, like, well, we're not all like you. It's just, it is what it is. Everyone hates Monday. You're not meant to like your
Oh,
job. That's just how it is. Like, so I've been like, he's my soul's mission to recruit him over to the dark side of entrepreneurship because he's far too good for what
absolutely.
he's doing. But
Yeah.
it just made me die. I was like, that is literally everything that is wrong with the
There's everything
world.
that's wrong with the world. Why
Yeah,
should
you're
we
just
hate
meant to
Monday?
get through the week,
You
suck
know?
it up, meant to hate 90% of your life, and then you have like a couple of days off and you're good.
But
Like,
it's like, I always like, sometimes I look around, when, I don't know, you're on a train or whatever, and I look at all these people and I liken them to like robots,
yes,
almost. They're
yeah,
stuck in this robotic world where it's like, I must go to work, I must
yeah,
eat,
yeah,
sleep,
yeah.
shit, on a holiday once a year, and then I retire. I might have got a cruise
Yeah.
and
Yeah, and
I'm
please
like,
God, I don't die before then, because that's the
right?
point at which I can like enjoy my life. And let's hope that I'm well and able to actually make the most of it. Yeah.
Exactly that. Like, it's like we've lost that bit of being almost in control of our own thoughts and our own reality.
Yeah. So
And
what I love about your business though is that I'm guessing because it's a product-based business, again, like it and tell me if I'm wrong, like if there is like is it a brand that you've built and everything
yeah,
else?
yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of elements to what I do. So yes, there's the products business, and there is a brand behind that. So it is a completely natural, we're vegan, chemical-free dog products. So we sell everything from shampoos, balms, treats, sprays, all that side of things. But then off of the back of that as well, because I've done quite well and I've done all the work from it, I've then stepped into the coaching space. So I'm now coaching other women how to do exactly the same thing and how
Yeah,
to
I love
repeat the
that.
process.
Because that's the thing, like I said, there's never been a better time to really step into that, like
Yeah,
just to give it a go, just to see.
absolutely. Yeah.
And
Because you
definitely, I
came
think,
from corporate as well, didn't you? So
yeah,
you must have at some point sat on a train, whether it be going into London or
oh my
another
God.
long journey, another night in the car, and you think,
Yeah,
is
I
that
literally moved my mum into my house because I had to go back to work after my first baby after 5 years of
yeah.
IVF and trying to get
Oh,
pregnant 6 weeks after she was born. Straight
Jesus.
back into London, straight back full time. There was no like compressed hours, part time. It was like, bitch, you got to work. Because I was self-employed on a contract or a
Mm.
freelancer, sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I literally moved my mum who is like a whole fucking podcast episode in itself, into
Love
my
that.
house just so that I could leave her in her own bed every day,
Yeah.
knowing that she was going to be at least like somewhat in her environment.
Mm.
And the personal sacrifices that I made, like I literally used to cry
It's
every
painful, isn't
day on
it?
the way to
Yeah.
work. And I just kept thinking, like, how is this life? Like,
Yeah.
I've had such a long, hard struggle in life for most of it anyway. And I was like, I literally finally get what I want. This feels like the cruelest twist of fate that I now don't
Yeah.
get to be with my kids. And
Yeah.
it's like, I get so much from my work, but equally I get so much from my kids. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
they've expanded me in different ways as well. I'm
Oh
not
yeah.
so yeah, it was just so hard being in corporate, but also I was such a people pleaser, like
Yeah,
such a
absolutely. Right.
watered down version of me. I think I said to you last week that
Yeah.
literally I used to have to go and cry in the toilets
Yeah.
because I'm such an empath. I don't
Yeah.
know why I ever worked in human resources. Like the shit that people would tell me, I'd be like, oh my God, it never happened. Like, oh, and how is Auntie Doris? Is she okay? Like, I need updates. I need to see what's going to happen with the story. And it could have been absolute bullshit, but I would
Yeah.
walk away, like, absorbing everybody's
All
energy
their
and shit.
energy.
Yeah,
Mm.
because you're like the emotional dumping bag in HR. Like,
Yeah.
everybody wants to, like, from God, if they've got a rash, like, I had people trying to, like, show me rashes. And I'm
I'm
like,
always
oh,
in that, but
yeah, go put your body away. I've got no idea, like, how to help you with that. Um, it was yeah, it was such an interesting time, but again, so grateful for that journey, because if
yes.
I didn't get to a point where, and here's the thing, I didn't hate my job. I didn't
No,
hate my
no,
job,
it was
but
never about that. It was never about that.
yeah, but it was the universe knew better.
Yeah.
Like, I was
Yeah. Yeah.
settling hard for
Yeah.
what I thought, because I was a single parent, was the safest route for me. Like, I had my house,
Yeah.
job, company car, like,
Yeah.
this is living the dream, really, surely. Like, that's as good as it gets for
It's,
someone like me,
yeah.
I used to tell myself. And to want any more, like, God forbid,
It
any
almost
evidence,
feels
like,
greed, doesn't it? It feels dirty. It feels
yeah,
bad
yeah,
to be like,
yeah,
actually, I want more. And
yeah,
it's almost like people feel like they're going to be frowned upon. And I think
yeah,
that's such a sad thing about society, isn't it? It's like
yeah,
if you don't conform to this box, you don't stay within this confinement, then
yeah.
but it's
It's
like, hang on a minute,
interesting
this is
though.
my life.
Yeah, it's interesting though, like, watching the generations come up behind us, because
Mm,
we are obviously products of our environment and our time and
absolutely.
what was acceptable. I literally just did a training on the mother wound, and how, like, for my mum, who worked at the co-op and,
Yeah.
like, did, like, all these little hustly type jobs that would just pay her a little bit here and there. Like, she thought I'd lost the plot in wanting to
Yeah.
be, like, full-time corporate, earning a decent salary. She, like, actively encouraged me, like, just go sit on benefits, do your
Yeah.
time, be with your kids, be a mother, and then you can do this. Like, when you're older, like, da 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 da.
Yeah.
And I was like, but girl, like,
That's not what I want.
I don't want that life for my kids anymore. I want to have choice. I
Yes.
want to be able to live where we want to live. I want to send my kids to the school that I want to send them
Yeah.
to. I want choice. Like,
Yeah.
ultimately, that's what I was chasing.
Yeah.
Whereas, no disrespect, but where we came from, it was like, you were put in with all the fucking weirdos and all the,
Yeah.
like, you had
Yeah.
no choice or power in anything that you did.
Yeah.
So it's interesting now, because my kids coming up, it's almost like managing their expectations. My son said to me today on the way to school, he was like, so I need you to get me signed for Watford, because he's a big football player. And
No
I'm
problem,
like,
babe.
yeah, I'm like, you're not even doing lessons, let alone in an academy. It's like, well, this is the plan for the year. So you're going to get me into an academy. I'm like, oh, okay.
Okay,
And
right.
then, yeah, then I'm going to be pro until I'm like 30, mid 30s. Ronaldo's still playing. It's fine. Like, he's figured it all out.
Yes,
And I'm
I
like,
love
I
that.
don't even know if you're any good at football, but I just like, I don't know. So, and it's like, okay, sure. And then I'm going to be a YouTuber after that. So then I'm going to, like, he's got the marketing, he's
I
got the
love it. I
foresight,
love that.
but I'm like, okay, now he's expecting me to, like, create this magic. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting. Like, next generation is interesting. Like, their
Absolutely.
expectations are next level.
But equally, I love that though, right? I love that
Yeah,
he's got that vision because it's kind of like, and this is another reason why I did what I did, was because it's like, how can I sit there and look my kids in the eye and say, go on, you can do anything you want in this life. You can take on the world, go and follow your dreams, chase your dreams. If they look at me and they're like, but you ain't,
yes, yeah,
you haven't. So how can I?
yeah,
And
that's it.
it's exactly that, isn't it? I say to Willow all the time, me and Willow have this saying, and I'm like, what can girls do? She's like, anything. And
Oh,
I'm like, yes, they bloody well can. You can do anything.
yeah.
And whatever it might, I mean, yeah, she's a little bit like your son. She's absolutely determined she's going to be an elf for Santa.
Oh, okay.
And obviously she's
When
5.
I grow up, I'm going to be an elf.
Right, yeah. Oh, yeah. I get it all the time. When I grow up, I'm going to be an elf. I'm like, okay.
Okay.
That what you want to be? I mean, she
Yeah.
doesn't know obviously the real truth about Santa, so that might be a little bit crushing. But I encourage it. I'm
She can
like,
be
come on,
her version of elf though, can't she? Like
absolutely,
I'm
can
sure
be
there's a
her.
TikTok out there for somewhere for that.
Right, exactly that.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you want to be an elf, babe, we'll milk you on it. Like,
Yes.
come on, then, let's do this.
So that's the thing, like how has this impacted like how you're bringing up? Is it just the one that you have with
Yeah,
it?
I've just got
Yeah. So
one. Yeah,
how has this impacted like your journey with her then as a mum? Because she's
it's
seen you like being away all the time, presumably in corporate,
yeah.
and then now having that flexibility and freedom.
Having the flexibility and freedom, she absolutely loves because she is an absolute mummy's girl. She follows me everywhere, and I think it's more for me. The way it's affected her is through the mindset piece.
Yeah.
Because the more and more I work on that, the more and more it rubs off on her. So then we get the product of all of it together, which is then the time with her, the freedom
Yeah.
with her. But like I brought her to the States. Obviously, we met in the States when we were
Oh
doing
yes.
Fox TV, and I
Yeah.
brought her with me for one specific reason, and I had to take her out of school, and I didn't care if school fined me because it wasn't about that. The reason
Yeah.
I wanted to take her was because I wanted to show her that look, you can do anything you want. Did mummy think she was going to be on Fox TV like a year ago or 2 years ago? No, never did I. But I've done it, so you
Yeah.
can do what you want. And that was the number one reason I was like, I'm bringing you with me. Yeah, to prove to her that you really can do anything you want.
I just love that. That's so true as well, isn't it? Like I literally just did a training on this about how influential like our relationships with our mothers is on what we perceive as safe and our own capabilities and limitations.
Yeah,
The more that we can deal with our shit
yeah,
and essentially like be unstoppable badasses
yeah,
that, you know, is still very much having a human experience, isn't perfect, you know, and
yeah,
all the things, because that's a heavy
yeah,
crown to wear. But the more that we recognize where we are the blocks to our own success, deal with that, and then go and live our life
absolutely.
on our own terms,
Yeah,
the more that that filters down to our kids, because it's like monkey see, monkey do, doesn't it?
absolutely, right?
Like you said earlier,
Absolutely. Yeah,
yeah, you
yeah,
have to be the embodiment of what you're ultimately trying to teach them.
exactly that. And even
Yeah.
if you can't be, you need to believe that you can be, first of all.
Yeah. So if you, what I love as well about the product-based business, because I had an Amazon business as well for a
Yeah.
while, and like there's some like nuances and stuff with the back end that literally drove me bananas.
Oh, yeah,
But the good thing is like it is the ultimate flexible business, isn't it? Because you can put in
absolutely.
the
It
time
is.
in
Yeah,
like you can front load the time that you put into it, and then it will continue to be like
yeah,
monthly recurring revenue, like the gift that keeps on giving. You
absolutely.
can do it around full-time jobs, you can do it around the kids, you can be on camera, not camera,
Yeah.
and you don't need to have a personal brand. Like
No, you don't. No,
it's
you
like,
can, and I think
yeah,
that's the thing, isn't it? These days, if you've got the knowledge, you can ship from China, you can do white labeling, you can do
yeah,
your own brand.
drop
It can look,
shipping, yeah,
yeah, you can look. You don't even need to touch the physical product these days.
yeah.
You can look whichever way you want it to, however you envisage it. It
You
can
know what?
look.
That's making me laugh actually, because one of my iterations when I was on maternity leave, I think with my third son, with my
Oh God,
first son, sorry, was me and my sister went and bought a business from eBay. So it was a wedding like wedding supplies shop
right?
that had gone out of business, and we literally had to drive to Kent with my partner, her partner, because obviously we needed like two cars, and
Yeah,
it was boxfuls of the
yeah.
most amount of tat and crap you have ever
You're
seen,
like,
that then literally took over a dining room for like the whole of my maternity leave.
yeah,
And then by that point, like we had not figured it out. I realized suddenly very quickly that you can't build a sustainable living on eBay
no,
selling like 99p bullshit.
yeah.
And it was so funny because she was like, hello, like you've gone back to work. My house is just like, I'm
My
scared I
house
was
is
gonna
just
like
full
die
of
by
stuff.
fucking a wedding charms. Like, what is this? Like, so
Even in itself, like you learned from that, right? You started to
yeah.
learn the basics of what works, what doesn't work. They start to learn the basics of business, and that probably gave you the confidence to try the next thing and the next thing and the next thing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Like genuinely, it was so overwhelming to me. I had no experience or exposure to anything business wise. But what I essentially realized was business is just about relationships.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
it really got me into so like just gave me like pulled through so many different skills that I didn't even know I had. And
Yeah.
typically it's the things that we're innately good at, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like I'm a chatty Cathy. I've
Yeah.
got a
Same here.
podcast. Like
Yeah.
that, I didn't need to change to, I'm always going to be a chatty Cathy, as Sally knows, as I overran on my live
Yeah. We
training.
love it that way.
Yeah, like that is who I've been since I was 5 years old,
Yeah.
like chewing the ear off other kids in the playgrounds. So now, like, rather than try and be a different version of me and what I think would lead to success, it's like, actually, it's about going back to who
Yes.
you've always been. And then
Absolutely.
that's how business gets to be easy. Like, we come on and it genuinely feels like, oh, I'm so excited, like having a little
Yeah.
catch up. I almost forget we're recording a podcast episode because I'm
Yeah.
just so in flow. And like I say,
But that's
yeah,
how it should be, right? And I
yeah,
think we've had these conversations before, haven't we? Where it's like the internet can be full of such shit.
yes,
It can't it? And
yeah,
it's like, actually, when you meet people who are properly authentic, who want to lift you up, who want to help you grow, whether that be in business, whether that be mentally, spiritually, financially, when you meet those people that really have got your back, that's when magic happens.
yeah, definitely. And that's when you have that strength not strength, but like the confidence to do it in your own way, which is ultimately your superpower. That's the thing.
Yeah.
What I realized was when I moved over from like physical businesses to coaching,
Yeah.
I had like this new like coaching persona that I
Yes.
was like, oh, so this is me, badass, super powerful, always on top of my shit, like don't have any kids in the background, like
Yeah.
absolutely losing their minds. Everything was polished and like perfect. And it was almost like the HR version of me coming out, where
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
even the pictures and stuff were like, just I don't even know who that woman is. She doesn't live here. Like I don't show up 90% of the time like that. Who is that woman? And then I realized as I went on, and again through building communities, having real fucking honest conversations with
Yeah.
other women in business, that actually I'm like masking who I am as a person, which means that I'm then attracting completely the wrong clients for
Wrong
me.
clients. Yeah.
The just so different personality types,
Yeah.
different and obviously I do human design now, so it's
Yes.
quite interesting with my clients. I'm a manifesting generator, high vibe,
Yeah.
you know, lots of different
Yeah.
things
That's like
going
me.
on, but I attract a lot of projectors because
Yeah.
they're drawn to my energy, and
Yes.
it's like I am like the yin to their yang. But when I was also trying to be like a projector and, you know, all of the things super like scheduled, planned out,
Mm.
strategic, it meant that I was like attracting these really like just weird clients that weren't my people, that wanted the world,
Yes.
actually by being me, that
Yeah.
created a USP
Yeah.
for no one can literally do what I do like I do it, because they'd
And I
have to
think
be a
that's
hot
it,
mess
right?
if they did.
You are your own USP. You
Yeah,
absolutely are. And when you're authentic and you show, it's like I did a live the other day, and I did it on a train station. I only popped on for 10 minutes and my nose was running the whole time. And I was so feeling, but I was like, so like
yeah,
runny noses are part of life. But I
yeah,
am me, I am authentic, and my intentions are pure.
yeah.
So
And people don't need you to be perfect, they just need to
no,
show up.
they need you to show up, and they need you to be real, if
Yeah.
anything.
Oh,
Because then you're so much more relatable. Yeah, when you try and make this polished version of something, it's like, well, is that really how it is?
yeah,
And then people can't relate to it as well. Because yeah, like
yeah,
you said, you've got, it's like I was a voice note the other day, and it's like, you know, when you have stimulation overload and people are trying to talk, you've got your kids trying to talk to you, the microwave's on, the dinner's on, the TV's on, there's a toy on the floor that's going off, you're still processing the conversation you had with your mother 20 minutes ago. And
yeah,
it's like, this is who I am, this is real. So
yeah.
just, yeah.
Yeah, I love that, because that is, because the flip side to that, like anything, there's a yin and a yang, a dark
Yeah.
and a light.
Yeah.
And feminine leadership is us doing our thing. And
Absolutely.
when we really put our intention, energy, we're going to create something truly magical that men don't have
Yeah.
resources and
Right.
access to. So rather than trying to do business like a man and be
Yeah.
on all the time and create this impossible benchmark that then means that nobody else feels like they can reach it, it's
Yeah.
about being real, like you say, making it, showing everybody else what's possible for them too. I
Do you
totally.
know what? Talking of being real, for some reason, my printer has just started to go absolutely mental. So I don't know whether you heard that or not, but that is, I don't know why.
Oh, oh
So
my
it's like,
God.
do you remember old
What's
school
coming out? Like a fact.
nothing. You remember old school fax machines where they used to
Yeah.
go up and it sounded like that for a minute? And I'm like,
Oh my God, don't. Weird things happen on my calls, Sally, because and
what are you
I've had
doing?
calls with Ellie before as well. She says that there's always like guides standing behind me, and just weird things happen all the time. And I've been doing my calls, like the door opens, things fall off, and I'm
I
like,
love that though. You're just like, oh, hello.
yeah, no, but I feel like I'm being supported then,
Yeah,
which feels
right, that's
really
it.
nice.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Like I feel like I'm being supported, right? Like they're not instantly, are they? They're not telling me to stop swearing.
Again, that's like a mindset thing, isn't it? It's like you can either look at that and be like, shit, I'm so scared, everything's gonna go right. Or you can be like, oh,
Got my
someone's gonna
squad.
come to join me.
Yeah.
I like that.
Let's go.
More company.
Yeah. So if you had, I just got like a real image then a moment ago of like me on the train, literally like trying to cry, but not let anybody know that I'm crying.
Yes.
Like just so like I used to work in London, so it was like absolute.
Same here.
Like everybody's hanging, like
Oh
especially when I was
gosh.
pregnant the second time. I was like, what is wrong with you? Everybody's got the most offensive aftershaves on. They smell like alcohol. I was like, oh, I fucking hate all of you. If there is a woman who is currently like, oh, I know that I'm meant for more, but I don't know where to start, like what would you encourage them to do to start building up, other than obviously come and invest in your services, obviously?
Absolutely. Yeah.
But equally, is that like investing in a coach? Like that's a symbolic gesture, but what should they do to start like planting the seeds to getting them to where they want to be, so they can essentially escape the 9 to 5?
Absolutely. So there's a couple of tips that I would give you here. First would be that I'm actually running a live. I'm running a series of 3 lives as of next week, for a couple of weeks, where I will be going into this in much more detail. But I think first of all, absolutely get clear on your vision. Get clear on what you don't want as well as what you do want. So those would be the first things. Then I would give it identity, and I'd be like, right, okay, so I need to replace my corporate job and I need to make £2,000 a month. Okay, why do I need to make £2,000 a month? Like really understand the ins and outs of it. And then the next thing is obviously to take action. And you can do this by literally, it's like even going on what is it, like Facebook Marketplace and stuff like that. People are giving stuff away, because their priority is completely different to what your priority is. Your priority is, maybe in that particular moment, is money. Their priority is space.
Yeah.
So start having a look at, and that's where the opportunities then lie, isn't it? It's like, oh, can I go and pick something up and then, I don't know, sell it on a different platform? Can I make money that way? So it'd be those things that I'd probably say to you to start doing first of all, to really get clear on.
And that's the mindset of an entrepreneur, isn't it? It's like where everybody else is saying like, oh, like COVID, like, oh, the petrol prices, money, like there's cost of living crisis. It's like that's the difference between the corporate mindset and the entrepreneur who just sees opportunity and sees that people are still buying, people are still eating, people still need like services and things. So therefore, where is my opportunity within that? Because the money doesn't disappear even in a economic downturn. It just gets redistributed. And I think the mindset of the entrepreneur is to identify the opportunities in the shitstorm. And that's when you know you can start doing that. And when, rather than engaging in those conversations where you're like, yeah, shit, yeah, it's right. Like,
take yourself out of those conversations.
And you start instead like getting into the conversations where it's like, oh, well, I'm still making money, and this is what I'm seeing is coming in and that people want. And, you start having those conversations instead. That's when you're truly unstoppable as an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. And let's be real. If it's not COVID, if it's not the economic crisis, there's always going to be something.
Yeah. So, and who likes to perpetuate that cycle, by the way, as well? So even when we say there's a cost of living crisis, the reality is it's inflation. Like that has been since the dawn of time. There isn't a cost of living crisis. It's that rather than focusing on the expansion and the opportunities to make more money, it's the people that are focusing on trying to save money that are feeling that struggle. So the reality is like, yes, the cost of food and everything has gone up. Hello, I have 5 kids. Like I absolutely feel that. It's insane. Well, I've got 6 kids in the house because my stepson's here. So I'm feeding like a household of 7 people and a fucking German Shepherd. Like,
oh my God.
Let me tell you, like my food bills are next level. And I've massively seen like things have gone up 33%, 50%. But equally, I am living in a time where people will pay me thousands of pounds to sit at home with my kids and mentor them.
Absolutely,
like, literally. And I was saying this to my brother, and I was like, last January, I earned like, I don't know, I want to say something like 10 times my monthly salary in 1 month. Like
in 1 month.
And I was like, never has there been such an abundant time to have a side hustle, to have another income, to be of value in more ways than just like trading your time for money in a job. And I was saying to him, like, you've got so many skills, you're almost like losing money by being at work. What waste your fucking time? Like
that's
8 hours a day plus your traveling time think what you could do if you could sit at a desk and put 10 hours into a business. And it's
Exactly.
like, the math just was not mathing to me anymore. I was like, there is no way that I could go back to a corporate job. I would literally be wasting so much money. I might as well be burning it in the garden by sitting at a desk for somebody
Absolutely.
else,
Yeah.
when I can sit here and make so much more money online. And it's like, that's the thing. There is no
And that's
cost
the
of
thing,
living
isn't it?
crisis.
You can
It's
make
just,
so much more money doing it your
yeah,
way, and also you
yeah.
can have the freedom to live your life on your terms at the same time.
Yes, and you get to be happy. Yeah, and you get to
Yeah.
be at home with your kids. I'm
Yeah.
homeschooling now though. It's
Oh, good luck,
like
Mama.
you end up like busying yourself pretty damn quick. So I'm like,
Yeah, you do.
yeah, I'm gonna go for a coffee later. I'm like, I need that bougie, like
I need
entrepreneurial freedom
something.
lifestyle. I can't be sitting here at a desk and homeschooling all day. But that's the thing, isn't it? Like, is there a
Absolutely.
cost of living crisis, or is it that, people haven't like caught
They
up
haven't
with what?
elevated, I think, their mindset. I
Yeah,
think that's what it is.
yeah, I don't want to be insensitive, because absolutely, like, but
Mm.
equally, when like there is no excuse. Like, literally, I have been a single mum with 5 kids since I was 6 months pregnant,
Yeah.
like with my baby,
Yeah.
and then continued to grow a business from there with
Yeah.
no support. Like, I've got no family here. I've
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
no like grandparents around the
No, same as
corner,
me. Yeah,
or
I have no
I
family around here.
literally live like an hour and a half away from my 2 sole family members that I've
Yeah.
got that could ever be useful. And even they're like, you're taking the piss now with babysitting. Like, 5 kids is a fucking piss take. So if I can do it and
Yeah.
find a way in London and hold
Yeah.
my way, so can you. Like, absolutely.
Absolutely. My
I promise you, I didn't, although I have a master's degree now, like, I didn't even finish school with exams. I didn't
mm,
have like an entrepreneurial circle of friends. I didn't have a family that supported me, like,
yeah.
genuinely. And I'm not fucking special in any way. I'm
No,
not
same
motivated.
as me.
I'm not like, honestly,
I
like,
wasn't given a magic ingredient. There is no magic button or
no,
a bit of it that I've suddenly pushed or anything like
yeah,
that. It's like I am who I
yeah.
am.
But it is that desire, isn't it? It's that
It's the
why.
desire. It starts
Yeah,
with the desire. And I think a lot of the time it starts with the sense of people actually want a feeling.
yes,
They want a
yeah,
feeling. They want to, there's something that they want, whether that be freedom, happiness, it's those sorts of things. And when you really, really understand that of what
yeah.
it is, that's the thing that will drive you.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And that's when you get out of your own way, isn't it? Like,
Absolutely.
I was the girl that would die at the thought of people like judging me, not liking me.
Yeah.
Like, I would just, honestly, that would keep me up at night for like 3 days in a row if I thought that
Yeah.
somebody didn't like me. And then I would make it their personal mission that now they need to love me.
They need
And
to fucking love
yeah,
me.
and now I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a
No,
shit if you don't like me. That's
it's
absolutely
not.
fine, because the desire and the mission is so much bigger than that.
Absolutely.
I'm okay to look stupid,
Yeah.
because ultimately, like you say, I'll take away something from this experience, and
Yeah.
it's also not about me. It's about the women that need my help,
Absolutely.
and
It's
also,
about them. Yeah.
feeding my kids.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're so right when you say, like, it is about that desire that will get you out of your way and get your ass out of bed
Yes,
when
it will.
you don't feel like it.
Like it. Yeah.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
everybody else is telling you, oh, no one's buying, that will give you the like, but I'm just gonna do it anyway because I want to do it. I
Yeah.
need to do it. Like, I have to do it.
I'm just going to start. I'm just going to try. I'm just going to do
Yeah,
that one thing. And then that one thing leads to another thing. And then
yeah.
it snowballs. And that's when it starts getting really special.
Oh, I'm so excited. Thank you so much, Sally, for being you.
Ah, look
Because
at me,
when
you.
you do the work, and it sounds like you've done so much work
Oh
as well,
God, I
which
have.
I love. And
Yeah,
obviously that's a huge thing, isn't it? Women are so reluctant to invest in themselves
absolutely.
because
Yeah.
the concern around the return on investment. And I always
Yeah.
say, if you are investing in a coach or a mentor just for the ROI and thinking it's going to give you money,
It's not.
like,
It's,
that's really fucking sad that
yeah.
you feel like you can only invest in yourself if you're going to get a payoff,
Yeah.
because you're missing out on an opportunity to be seen, heard, held,
It's, it,
supported
it's the
in ways
growth
that,
piece as well, again,
yeah,
isn't it?
yeah,
Growth. Yeah.
yeah, that you're
Yeah.
not going to get in any other area of your life. Guess
No.
what? You can use your partner as your diary and your
Yeah.
sounding board, and
Yeah.
you can use your friends and drive them mad, but actually having, investing in yourself and a mentor and all the things, like, that's where the true, like, activations
It
and
starts to
quantum
kick
leaps
in.
happen. Yeah,
Yeah. Doesn't it? Doesn't it
yeah.
just?
Yeah. Oh, so if there are, I know I've got some women in my audience, because I've got
Yeah.
a really great audience that love to like send me feedback from the shows.
Oh, fabulous.
And I
Big
know
love
I've
to
got
them.
women in there that are like, I'm still in my job at the moment, but like, da da da
Yeah.
da. So this to me is like the perfect solution, because anyone, like you say, drop shipping, you don't even have to pay for the stock or have it cluttering up your
No.
living room anymore, girls.
No,
Like,
you don't.
you can literally, like, the most basic like not basic bitch, but I mean as in like low risk,
Low
like
risk.
give it a go and see what you are
Yeah.
made of.
Yeah.
Opportunity that ever there was is that product business, that is like drop shipping, that is
Yeah.
you know, you can build your own personal brand, and like you've got so
Absolutely.
many different options depending on where you're at
Yeah.
with so everybody should have one. Like even I had an Amazon business at one point
Absolutely.
just to kind of like dip my
Dip
toes
your
in the
toe
water,
in.
and
Let's start.
yeah,
Yeah.
and what I learned was amazing. So I'm so excited that you're doing this and that you're able to really support that
Absolutely.
community of women
Yeah.
who are just so like desperately in need of you to be out there shining your light and giving them that segue and
Yeah.
that solution.
Yeah.
So if my ladies want to come and find you, what is the best way for them to come and grab you?
So you can pop my links in probably in
Yep,
the video below. Otherwise,
yep.
come and drop me a message on Facebook. I'm
What's
always
your it's Instagram handle and your Facebook?
So my Instagram is one Starbucks, so number one Starbucks, and then my Facebook is just my name, and you will find me.
Yep, so Sally Tarbux.
Yeah.
Love it.
Come over, drop me
Amazing.
over a message. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a chat. Make some magic.
Let's go change the world.
Absolutely. Let's start living it on our terms as well.
I'm so here for that. So thank you so much for joining us for today's
I love you.
episode. I cannot wait for the women to hear it. And obviously make sure that you like, share with
Yeah.
any women that need this as well, and subscribe to the podcast on YouTube. Thank you so much, ladies. Have a great week.